Hello, welcome to Crafting with the Crafty Chick. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you're going to craft right along with me. These are February's projects that we are doing. We've got some spring projects coming because I don't know about you, but I am ready for spring. I am so done with the snow and the cold, and this past week has been really cold. Great time for crafting, but I'm ready for spring. So these are the projects that we're going to be doing, and we are casing 3 of these projects today. So these are the 3 that we're going to be casing. And just a reminder, casing stands for copy and share everything, or copy and selectively edit. So I guess this one we could say I am selectively editing a few things, because it's not exactly the same as the copy that's in the annual catalog, or in the mini catalog. But anyway, so we are going to start with this project today. And so I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side. And again, thank you for joining me today. I hope we have some fun crafting. So really quick, I just want to bring in the mini catalog so I can show you guys the project that we're casing today. This is the Pretty Perennial set, which has been one of my favorites. I cannot stop playing with it. There's so many different things you can do with it. It's very, very versatile, and I have a tendency to play a lot more with these stamp sets that are very versatile. Okay, so in the mini catalog, it's on page 31, and this is the stamp set that we used for this card, but the one that we are casing is this one right here. And again, this is on page 31. So I did change a few things up, and so I'm just going to bring in the card here. I find that when you're using brighter colors like this, or very vivid, black really helps to make things pop a lot better. And so theirs is just a white background, so I did add in the black base. And instead of, so behind this Coastal Cabana piece here, there is a piece of Melon Mambo. And I did try that, but I found that that Melon Mambo piece just got lost with having these Melon Mambo flowers there. So I completely eliminated that. And then just to kind of help carry and pull everything together, I added a strip of basic black cardstock behind our Coastal Cabana piece, just to help tie in all of the black and really make everything pop. And then they heat embossed a You Make Me sentiment on Coastal Cabana with white embossing powder, and I did that in basic black again, just to kind of pull everything together. So this is the one that we are casing today, and just selectively editing a few things. So let's get crafting. I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm changing a couple of things. One is, so you will see my sample, and then I'm going to pull in the supplies and show you step by step how to make this card. So demoing everything, cutting, scoring, and then stamping. So you can just take a few minutes and just watch right along with me, or you can go ahead and start putting your projects together. I just want to show you guys exactly how I made this card. Okay, so, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in. So this is the Pretty Perennials that we used to stamp set on this card today. And then this die cut piece, this Coastal Cabana die cut piece. So a lot of people say this is like a chicken punch, where you have your corners kind of punched out. And that die is from Painted Poppies. So this is in our annual catalog. So you guys know I keep my bundles, so stamp sets that have coordinating dies to go with them, I keep them rubber banded together, so I never have to go on a hunting spree trying to find the dies. It's just how I do it. Everybody's got their system. And so this is the die that we are using from the Painted Poppies, so you can see the punched out corners on the end there. So go ahead, and so I'm just grabbing our things that we're going to use so I can show you exactly how to make this, so you guys can replicate this at home. And the nice thing about this is that you can do mass production. You can make as many as you want. Okay, so for Pretty Perennials, we did not use any of the coordinating dies. If you guys remember from January's videos, I hadn't had these yet. I was waiting for Stampin' Up! To ship them to me, and I have them now. So I'll go ahead and show these to you really quick. Last month I showed you the Pierce Bloom dies, and so here are their Pretty Perennials. Now I have not played with this die yet, but I know when you die cut it out, you have your leaves are open, so you'll have open spaces here. I'm really excited to play with that one. But it's nice that they have this flower here, the Melon Mambo flower. There's a die that cuts that out. And then we have like an overlay, which, let me bring in, which we did use on another project that I will also be demoing for you. So this Melon Mambo overlay piece, there's a die for that one too. So, a lot of fun to play with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these away real quick, and we're going to get moving. So I find when it's winter and it's just cold, 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 and February historically has been like the month that we seem to get the majority of our snow and our cold temperatures. And so I tend to gravitate toward spring and bright colors and this time of year. Okay, so I'm pulling, so we have photopolymer stamp sets, so you will need your piercing mat to really get a good impression on your flowers, on your stamped images, sorry. Okay, and we need, so there's a few stamps that we are actually going to be utilizing today. I'm going to pull in your blocks here. It's nice to have multiple stamping blocks because if you're doing a bunch of stamping, then you don't have to transfer one to another and stamp and so on and so forth. So it makes it really nice. Okay, that one. And then we've got this one and one more. Yeah, there it is. Oh, nope, we have leaves too, so pull those in. And sometimes I will, if I don't have enough blocks, I'll put 2 or 3 stamps on one block, and then I just alternate as I need them. Okay, and that's all we need for that one. So just hang in there with me. I am going as fast as I can. I could have had this already ready to go, but I just wanted to go through an actual step-by-step process. Okay, and then the ink colors that I am using today are, so we have Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, and Crushed Curry. So we're using all of those colors on this card today. And then I've already done my heat embossing, and one of my crafters blessed me with coming and showing me how to use her brother Scan and Cut. So I stamped all of the word happy and then ran it through her machine, which scanned it, and die cut all of these happy words out for me. Wow, what a game changer. That was pretty cool. Thank you so much. You know who you are. Because the first sample that I did, I actually fussy cut, and it was like, oh, this is way too much fussy cutting. If I want to make 10 of these, there's no way I'm fussy cutting 10 of those words happy out. So that was super awesome. So thank you. You know who you are. Okay, we are ready. I'm ready. Let me grab my piercing mat. And we are going to be ready to go. And I'll be bringing in my paper trimmer. So I have the new Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, but I still have my old Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, which I kind of go back and forth. There's things that I really love about my old trimmer that is not a feature on our new trimmer. But I'm getting used to the new paper trimmer because, you know, we're supposed to use things that are current, but I still have some blades left for my old one. So I kind of flip-flop, I guess, back and forth between the two. But one of the things with the new paper trimmer, and I will just show you really quick here, is on our old paper trimmer, we had up at the top, we only had one set. You know, you had across the top and the bottom, so it made it really nice to see where, because when you put your paper up here, you're covering up those numbers and you're not going to be able to see. It was nice to be able to still have those measurements across the top, where with our new paper trimmer, I actually covered it now, but there's both imperial and metric measurements. Well, when I'm taking my paper up here, I don't need to see what the numbers are up here. And for me, I found these numbers up here sometimes were throwing me off. And so I actually took a piece of washi tape and just covered that. And I've seen other demos do the same thing. Because for me, it just makes it a lot easier now. I don't have that, for me, distraction of these extra numbers. And I can go, oh, 4 inches right there. So just a tip, if you have the new paper trimmer, a lot of demos will cover this with washi tape. I know Amazon also has what they call reverse measuring tape. And so basically what that means is it will be reversed. So you'll see 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, and so on. So that actually is another tip too. But anyway, so I'm going to use our new paper trimmer today. And so the first step we're going to do is, this is a basic black card base. And so, which brings me to another point that I wanted to bring up. So in your kit this month, I've included a piece of the new white. So instead of Whisper White, we now have Basic White. And I thought, well, Basic White, that sounds basic. No pun intended, right? But then when I went back and was going through all my cardstock, I realized, oh, our black is called Basic Black. So now we have Basic Black and Basic White. I still have some Whisper White inventory that I'm trying to use up, and will be switching over to the Basic White once I've depleted my Whisper White stock. Okay, so, but in your kits I included the Basic White because I wanted you to compare the Whisper White to the Basic White. The Basic White is a lot brighter. You know how, like, if you have a light bulb, that's a soft white, and so it's just kind of a brighter white. A Whisper White, when you pair them side by side, a Whisper White has more of like a yellowish tinge to it. And so, but I also noticed a difference when stamping. The colors will show up differently on Whisper White compared to the Basic White. So if you get a chance, play with those two colors and you'll see the differences. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a Basic Black cardstock, and our card base is 4 1/4. Oh, and by the way, with the new paper trimmer, on our old trimmer we had this, you know, this part where you can lift up. There's also up at the top. This is a lot easier, but can kind of catch. It doesn't lock, but it does click into place. And so sometimes it's easier, rather than you feel like you're going to rip this off trying to lift it. So sometimes it's easier to just lift up here. There is a lip here that you can tuck your finger under. Okay, I'm done with that. So we're going to go ahead and start with our card base, which is 4 1/4. And then 5 1/2, so we're going to score at 5 1/2 with our scoring blade. And so now you've got that score line, and so we can go ahead and crease that score line. So that is our card base. And then the next one we're going to do is Whisper White. So I call this layer 1, so this is going to be the first layer on our card. So Whisper White, or Basic White if you have that, is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, and so now we've got the basic start for our card. So now I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the side and bring in my piercing mat, because we are going to be ready to start stamping. Okay, and then you want to have a scrap paper underneath your project when you're doing your stamping, because you're going to be stamping off. Sorry, this is very well used scrap paper. Can you tell? I have notes and stamps and okay. Bone folder, and we're going to go ahead and just sharpen that score line down. sometimes our cards have a tendency to lift up if you don't get that score line taken care of. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start with our biggest flower. I found it's easier when you're doing multiple images, knock out your biggest shapes first, because then it makes it easier to for you to position your location where you want your other stamped images to go. So we're going to start with Melon Mambo. Okay, and I've already, you guys know I'm a stickler for cleaning my stamps and conditioning my stamps. So these are already clean, ready to go. Some people, and I do on occasion, but not always, so we have oils on our fingers, and a lot of times those oils can transfer onto our stamps when we are taking them off of our clear sheet to put them on our stamp block, and then you're pushing it down. So sometimes people will like to just clean them off before you ink them, just so that you don't have those oils transferring. I'm just going to do that real quick. Okay, we are ready to go. And so now the photopolymer, it is normal for photopolymer stamps to stain. This is not ink that's going to transfer. It's just staining, which is normal. Okay, so now I'm inking up my big flower image in the Melon Mambo, and I'm going to kind of come toward the right side, but not in the far corner. You want to come in maybe 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to stamp. So my 2 top petals are going to be off and not show up on this paper, and that's the look I'm going for. And you just want to hold that for just a moment to make sure that that transfers. And when you're using photopolymer, you want to have your piercing mask, because on our red rubber stamps you've got that foam padding, which helps with that transferring of that ink to your paper. Photopolymer stamps don't have that foam padding, so the Pierce mat just provides that padding that we need. And there is our first Melon Mambo flower. Okay, I'm going to ink this up again, and then I'm going to come down to almost halfway, and I'm going to make another. Now up here I'm going to rotate my stamp because I want 3 petals showing up toward the top. And so I'm going to stamp just kind of in the center, right about there, and just hold that for a moment. I'm going to scoot this up so you guys can see, make sure I'm in the camera frame here. And there's our second one. And as you can see, so this is what we call, Stampin' Up! Has a few stamp sets that they call distinctive. And so it's a very pixelated, as you can see where petals of the flower are lighter. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with your stamp. And some people think, oh, I need to press harder to get all that ink to transfer. With this kind of stamps, that is not the case. So this is the look, this is what it's supposed to look like. So I just re-inked it now, and I'm going to come down a little bit toward the bottom and stamp. And again, this is almost in the center of my card. Okay, so now we have our Melon Mambo flowers done. So we can go ahead and put that away. And I always like to clean my stamps right after I use them. So it's a Stampin' Up! Stampin' Scrub. And then I set that off to the side to dry before I put that away. Okay, and then the next one I'm going to do is, so we want Daffodil Delight. And we're going to come in and do this yellow flower up here. And these go pretty quick. Stamped, when you can stamp your own background, basically creating your own DSP, you can knock this out pretty quickly. So now we have our Daffodil Delight, and then I'm going to come down in this lower corner down here, and I want to leave just a little room because I have a leaf image I want to stamp here too. Okay, and that is the only 2 Daffodil Delight. And then clean our stamp really quick here. And we're done with that one. And then we're going to come in with Coastal Cabana. And what we are doing are these ones right here. Now there's a separate stamp, the black part, which is the stems. I found that it was easier to stamp I don't know what you call these, berries, or it's easier to stamp those first, and because it makes it easier to line up the stems right in between each one of those. So we're going to go ahead and do our berry ones first. So I'm peeling the leaf stamps off because I just need the berries. And this one, let's see if you guys can see, I have that whisper white background. So up toward the top there's 2 berries here, and then you have 3 and then 1. And so what I'm going to do is take the top of this and I'm actually going to turn it around. So now I have those 2 berries up at the bottom now. And so I'm going to angle it just above this Melamambo flower here, in between. I'm going to stamp that down. So now we have that. And then, so I have those 2 berries up at the top. I'm going to rotate it back around so that those, I'm sorry, they were at the bottom. Now we've turned them so that they're at the top. And I'm going to come over here, kind of offset underneath this top Melamambo flower, and do another stamp there. And one more time. So I'm turning it around again so that the 2 berries are at the bottom. And right about there. Okay, so that is for Coastal Cabana. So we're done with that one. Clean our stamp. Okay, and then now we're ready to do our leaves. So we want Granny Apple Green. And this is another thing that your scrap paper will come in handy for, is because we're going to be stamping off, and I'll show you guys how we're going to do that. So I'm taking, so there's 2 different leaf ones here. Let's see if the camera can focus here. It might take just a minute. Okay, there we go. So you can see that this might be better. Okay, so that picks that up better. So you actually have an outline, and then you've got the line in between. That creates our outline, where this stamp, the leaf, is just a full end fill-in. So you want to do your outline first. So we're stamping in Granny Apple Green. And so wait for the camera to come back into focus. Come on, it's a little blurry here. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to readjust. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the leaf in the Granny Apple Green, my outline. So this Melamambo flower up here, come on, come back. I'm just trying to get it to focus. Okay, so now I've stamped it. Now on this leaf there is, on one end it comes more to a chip or a point, and the other end is more kind of flattened, but it has a few, I don't know what you call it, like a corn cob. You know how a corn cob will have up toward the top, ignoring the silk part, but you know how where the, what do you call them, the husk part. It's kind of like that, where it's just kind of offset. So I'm taking the tip end inward to my flower petal. And so I'm going to come in right about here and stamp my outline. And so now I've got that one, and then I'm going to come over here and do another one over here. And this Melamambo, I want to come in at an angle. And this makes it really nice and easy to line up. So this one I actually want 2 petals kind of side by side. And then I'm going to rotate this one, come in at an angle so it's longer, but okay. And then one more down here at the end of our Daffodil Delight one. Okay. Clean our stamp really quick, and don't put away your Granny Apple because we're going to need it for the fill-in. So now take this one off and put this leaf one on. Okay. So I'm going to ink that up, and now, so this is Granny Apple Green, because I've done my outline in Granny Apple Green full strength. If I were to do Granny Apple Green full strength, it would just kind of all be the same color, and I don't want that. So you're going to stamp off and then stamp over, and what that does is it makes a lighter shade of green fill in. It's just a nice soft green. And so I'm going to bring this up to the camera. Let's see if you guys can see. This is just the outline stamped with Granny Apple. I'm waiting for the camera to focus. And so you can see the white showing through. And then over here where I just stamped the fill in, it's just a much lighter green. Okay, so I see we're back in focus now. So stamp off and then fill in, and it makes it really easy just to line it up. You see where those lines are. Okay, just a couple more. And this kind of stamping I really like because you can just make a lot of cards in just a matter of minutes. Okay, we are done with our Granny Apple Green. So we're done with that. Put away our Granny Apple. And then we're going to come in with crushed curry. And the crushed curry we are using for, I need one of these, the centers of our Daffodil Delight flowers. So we're just going to take our center and stamp right in the middle of that. And so now you just have that crushed curry center in the flower. Okay, and we are done with that one. And then come and clean our stamp. And then we're going to come in with our Memento Black ink pad. And that's for the stem for our blueberries or whatever you want to call these. And they'd be great at Christmas time for like the red pip berries. And so now we have to remember where we rotated that stamp. And so we're going to rotate this around because those two berries are up at the top so that we can line them up with our stamp. You see those two lines there. So that's what we're going to do, is line that up. Wait for the camera. There we go. And so what I'm doing to line this up is taking those two lines up at the top and putting them in between these berries here. It makes it really easy to line them up. And there you go. So now they are all touching. And then we're going to do the same thing while we have our card in this right position, because our two berries and our two lines, we're going to line those up and stamp that. And then we're going to rotate this back around so we can line those two up again with those two. And there you have it. See how nicely those just line up? And they're touching in between the berries. So that makes it really nice. Okay. And now we are just about ready to assemble. So I'm not going to do the heat embossing because I've already done that. So now we are done with our stamping, so we can put our Pierce mat away. Pull this away. And so now I'm going to bring back in my basic black base for our card. I'll bring in our scrap mat so that way you can see the card better. Okay, and then where's my other pieces here? Alright, so I'm going to bring in, like I said, thank you, you know who you are, for Brother Scan and Cut. Totally saved me a lot of time, that was awesome. Okay, just moving my ink pads out of the way here. It's amazing how much space you can take up on your desk or your table or your work surface when you're just making one project. Okay, and then, so I have my pieces. I already did my heat embossing ahead of time just to save on time. And then thank you for the machine that cut that out. And so really quick, we're not going to die cut because I've already done that ahead of time. So, but this piece is die cut out on Coastal Cabana. So you would just take your die on your Coastal Cabana piece. So you have a raised edge that's cut side down. So you want that to be down. And then you just run that through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or your Sizzix Big Shot or whatever die cutting machine you have. So that part is done. And so now we're ready to assemble our card. I'm just reading my notes here really quick. Okay, so this is a basic black cardstock, and this is 1 inch by 4, and this is going to go right over the top of our white piece. And you will need, I'm trying to find my card sample, you will need dimensionals for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and bring those in now, so we're ready. And I'm using my Take Your Pick tool with the sharp piercer end. Okay, and you need your mono glue. And so the first thing we're going to do is make sure that your card, make sure your fold is up at the top when you open your card. And so we're going to go ahead and glue, oh, we forgot something. I forgot something, sorry, I'm not trying to blame you. I forgot something. I forgot to stamp the black centers of our Melon Mambo. So let's knock that out really quick here. Okay, let me get a stamping block. Thank you for being with me and being patient with my stamp set. I just had it right here. Okay. I did not get that one out. So there's two different centers. There's this one, which we're going to use, and then there's this multi-dot, which I think that would be good for like sunflowers, or I think, what are they called? Not Lazy Susan. I'll think of it. Okay, so we can bring in our Memento Black, and because it's photopolymer, we need to bring in our piercing mat, but we don't need to have a scrap paper behind it. So we'll go ahead and stamp our center in Memento Black. There we go. Okay. And now we're done with that. Clean our stamp really quick. Okay. And something, so I'm going to start in my videos just saying little things here and there and see if you guys catch them. So pay attention. Okay, so one of the things I want to mention with that is in my videos now, in the description below the video, you guys will see all of the measurements and all of the supplies that I use for these projects. Let me know what you think about that, if that is a better option for you. Okay, and then I would love it. You can subscribe and you can leave me comments. I am constantly checking for comments now. We'll get back with you. And there may be sometimes in the future where I say, if you want an extra ticket to be put in the drawing, so your name will be in the drawing, but if you want an extra ticket, watch my videos within a certain amount of time from when they were uploaded, or leave me a comment, or something like that. So stay tuned. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and secure our Whisper white piece to basic black, and leave an even border all the way around. Okay, and then we're going to take our basic black strip here and glue that in the center. So you can use your grid paper, which I like to do, just to help keep things center, or you can take advantage of the center lines. So what I like to do for this is I take my card about halfway in the middle, and I use that as my guide for centering whenever I have to put something in the middle of my card. Or you can just eyeball it, which I do that a lot too. Okay, so now we've got that down, and then we're going to take our Coastal Cabana die cut piece and glue that down over the top of our basic black strip. And you want to make sure you have about even space on both ends with that basic black strip. Okay, secure that down. Alright, so we're done with the glue. So now we want to bring in our dimensionals. So you want to, I popped both of these, so put dimensionals on the back of both. Mini dimensionals work really great for this. Oh, I thought I had that one, I didn't. Okay. Now these mini dimensionals are not going to cover like the loop from our H and our Y, and so you can just leave them as is, or you can actually cut your strips of your paper. I use pretty much the whole thing of all my dimensionals, and so when you get to the end like this, where it's not a full piece, I start cutting them into smaller pieces and utilize them for things like that if I want them popped. So you can do that or not. Okay, so there we go. We have all of our dimensionals on. Go ahead and peel off all the backings. I like to do this all at once just so it's done, and then assemble. Okay, one more. There we go. So I like to go ahead and that's crooked. That's going to bug me. That must have moved somehow. Oh well. So I like to go ahead and do my happy word first, and what I like to do is take this end of the H here and try to kind of have it in the middle of this corner punch out. And so I'm going to go ahead and just place that down, and then come in with our You Make Me piece right above that. And there we have it. Isn't that fun? Okay, so 35 minutes with all my yakking. We made a card. Oh, we are not done. There's one more step. Oh, you thought we were done. Okay. I kid. So, there is a trick I want to show you with the Stampin' Blend. Let's see if the camera picks it up. So you can see here there is flecks of ink splattered, whatever you want to call it, onto my card, and I'm going to show you a trick on how we can accomplish that. So I'll be right back. I gotta grab my what do you call it? Stampin' Blend. And so I'm just checking my notes. So it's dark olive is the Stampin' Blend we want to use. Okay, and whenever you do this technique, you definitely want paper down to protect your surface. So there's two different ways you can accomplish this task, and you have to find the way that is comfortable for you and what works for you. So I'm just going to tell you really quick both ways, and then I will show you the way that I like to do. So you have your Stampin' Blend, and I like to use the brush tip end. So this is dark old olive. And what you're going to do is, so there's a couple ways you can do this. You can tap it against your finger, and it's kind of hard. You want to just, and that will release some specks. But if you didn't want to do your finger, because let's say you're making 20 of these, your finger's going to get pretty sore after doing that a few times. So then you can use a Stampin' Block. So I'm going to make sure, you want to make sure you've got paper here. But what I like to do is just kind of tap it on, and I apologize, I know that's kind of loud, but I just like to tap it against my stamp block, and you do it until you have the coverage that you're happy with. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up those flecks. There we go. And so you can go harder, you can go over the area a few times. Just be aware that the ink splatter is going to get on your block and whatever is surrounding. And there we go. And so that's a really cool tip. And I know some people like to flick, I don't know what it's called, where you flick it against your lid, but that really is damaging to your Stampin' Blend tip. So I don't recommend that if you want to get some longevity out of your Stampin' Blend. So, okay, so there you go. There is our project. Oh, and then Whisper White piece inside. And that also is, and you can use the piece that you cut off earlier, which is 4, and then you want to cut it down to 5 1/4. I think I sure did, stamped a Melon Mambo flower on the inside of that. So we'll go ahead and just do that really quick. Melon Mambo. I would love to know what your favorite spring colors are. So if you want to leave me a comment below my video, tell me what your favorite spring colors are. And bring in our piercing mat. Oh, it's scrap paper. We need scrap paper. As we're going to be stamping off of the corner here. I'll go ahead and bring that in and stamp Mellow Mambo. Okay. And then we have our Memento Black to do our center. And get the block to put that on. Okay. And there's our Memento Black center for Mellow Mambo. And then we can go ahead and glue this to the, oh, I have ink on my fingers smeared across my card. Okay, we're going to go ahead and glue that to the inside. Make sure your Mellow Mambo flower is in the bottom corner, not your top corner. And there we have it. Okay. And there is our case card from the mini catalog with a few few changes being made. So, and again, in the description below my video, you will see the measurements and all of the ink colors I used, all the products I used. And if you can, leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite spring colors are. And just a reminder, thank you for crafting with the Crafty Chick. You make me happy. Thank you. Bye-bye.